And it's sad to me that people who don't even know me have this idea of a monster when they think of me.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Ashley Benfield is on trial right now, and it's going to be up to a jury to decide whether she is a monster or not. Are they going to get it right? At around the time Chris Watts was awaiting sentencing, he said something eerily similar to what you've just heard Ashley saying. According to a prison source, someone said, he feels like no one understands him and nobody knows what happened. He thinks if they did understand, they'd realize that he's not the monster everyone says he is. Except it turned out that Chris Watts was the monster everyone thought he was. And what he did turned out to be even more monstrous than many imagined. You may remember one of the early defenses Chris Watts had was that he sort of killed Shanann in self-defense. It was a scenario where he said Shanann had killed the kids and then he killed her essentially to stop her from killing anyone else. Chris Watts also later said that during his sentencing hearing he felt the most emotional when Shanann's father called him a heartless monster who tossed his family away like garbage. In fact, he used this word monster quite often. So what is sadder in this case, that Ashley Benfield killed the father of her child, or that some people think she's a monster? The fact that she's so aware of how she appears in this is telling. But what are the other tells? Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you find this analysis worthwhile, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button and let's get started. So the other tells. Number one, nonchalance. When asked, how are you doing, by the presenter, it's a wonderful open-ended question, a wonderful open-ended opener. Ashley smiles.
How are you doing?
It depends on the moment. Yeah.
Just as we saw with a recent analysis on Amanda Knox, she closes her eyes and smiles. Ashley Benfield then says, there are good moments and rough moments. Think about it. She's about to stand trial for murder and she's smiling. If someone accused you of murder, if you were about to go on trial for a crime you didn't commit, would you be smiling?
There's good days and rough days, good moments and rough moments.
Number two, I'm doing this for everyone else. Oh, really? Do you believe her? Do you believe that's the reason she's doing it? She's a very selfless person. She's doing this for everyone else. Do you think that is accurate?
You haven't spoken out before. Why did you decide to talk now?
I'm really doing it for other people. Because I know I'm not alone in this.
Why has she decided to talk now? Well, now is right before her trial. Do you mind if I take a stab at the reason? She's talking now for the first time because she wants to influence public opinion, because she feels, perhaps like Karen Reed, without attempting to influence public opinion, she could lose her case. Now, although there wouldn't be anything wrong with that or unusual, what does she say is the reason? Is she doing this to help her chances or to help herself? Let's listen again.
I'm really doing it for other people. Because I know I'm not alone in this. There are women all over the country, all over the world, who have gone through or are going through hard situations behind closed doors.
So if she's doing it for other women, why do it once, just before her own trial? Why not start campaigning and telling her story from the get-go, since the time that it happened? And why hasn't she even told her story, not even to the police, until now? Like the Ramseys, it seems she told the media her story even before she told the authorities. And like Patsy, Ashley is a performer, but instead of pageants, it's the pageantry of dance.
Seen here, dancing in the Nutcracker for the Maryland Youth Ballet.
And for a performer, what is a performer's greatest fear? Well, it is how they appear, right? Number 3, Emerson's been through a lot. When the reporter reminds Ashley that she could go to prison, Ashley caught sympathy again by bringing up her child, the child she kept secret from the now dead victim.
You could possibly go to jail for a very long time.
Emerson's already been through a lot.
Ashley seems to be saying, don't feel sorry for me, feel sorry for her, but whatever you do feel sorry. I'm not sorry though. Nowhere does she say, I'm sorry about shooting him, maybe it wasn't necessary. I think one thing that Doug's daughter Eva said was that, if you didn't intend to shoot him, if it was just defense, why wouldn't one shot have been sufficient? And that brings us to number 4. I can't imagine how this would affect her.
I can't imagine how this would affect her if things were to go poorly at trial.
I can't imagine how this would affect her. Well, it's a nice way of asking us to imagine that very thing. Do you get a sense that you're being manipulated here? Bear in mind, we are dealing with someone who was working on the Trump campaign at the time, and we'll deal with that in a little bit more detail in a moment. What seems to be lacking is Ashley being really distraught and distressed about possibly being taken away from her child. She seems to be putting that emotion onto us. She seems more concerned about herself going to prison. She showed more emotion on that question than when she brings up being separated from her daughter. Number 5, what is this case really about? If you think about it, Ashley's defense, certainly on camera, is that she shouldn't be prosecuted or shouldn't be found guilty because what will happen to her daughter Emerson? That's her priority.
This case is about a woman who very early on in her pregnancy decided she wanted to be a single mother. There was no other option. She shoots him and kills him and claims self-defense.
I'm not sure if that's the full story, just as Chris Watts didn't want to be just a single dad. There was a third party in the equation, and this seems to be an aspect that the trial and Ashley has been frustratingly coy about. Wasn't Ashley in some sort of affair as well? Wasn't there some sort of third party as well? What's also vague is the disintegration of Ashley's ballet company, something Ashley clearly wanted and felt emotionally attached to. In this communique, she uses words like devastation, destroyed, ashamed, and a huge loss. She talks about how hard it was to build, how hard she worked, and that she can't stand behind the actions of others. And so one has to wonder, was there some animus towards Doug as a result of what happened to the this big thing that Doug was supposed to give her and do for her, giving her this, paying for this ballet company, which then ultimately fell through. Number 7, did Ashley lure Doug to his death? Now, why does Doug volunteer to go to Ashley to help him pack, to move? And yet when he arrives, Ashley's mother and Emerson are safely somewhere else. If he's simply there to pack, why isn't her mother helping as well? Well, here's a clue. All these things and more I have overlooked and lived with for now a year because I love you. But even since finding out I was pregnant, you have continued to display psychotic, irrational, and unsafe behavior that has left me fearful for my life and safety, as well as that of my unborn child. Now, if you have said to someone, you are psychotic, irrational, unsafe, and I'm in fear for my life, why would you invite someone like that to come and help you move? She says, I have come to get only what belongs to me. Do not harass or try to follow me, or I will call the police and have a restraining order against you. Now, again, why would you invite a person like that to come and help you move? This is the sort of letter you write to announce the death knell to a relationship. How on earth, why on earth would any man, after receiving a letter like this, want to help its writer pack? The intent of the letter writer is also unambiguously that she wishes to get rid of her ex, and that doesn't she ultimately succeed in doing exactly that? We also know that Ashley and Doug's daughter Eva didn't get along. Did Ashley make any attempt to get along? And who does Eva blame? My impression is that Eva blames Ashley. She has said, as I say, if this was self-defense, why fire 4 shots? Why not just 1? And does Ashley have any regrets about Eva's situation? She's concerned that her daughter might possibly be left without a mother, but by shooting Doug, his daughter is permanently without a father and a mother. Shouldn't she have some concern for Eva? Ashley and Doug's sudden reconciliation in the summer of 2020 reminds us of their equally sudden marriage, a marriage that occurred after just 13 days and ultimately lacked any real substance. The couple hardly even lived together, and the father was locked out of the birth of his own child. So was the reconciliation real or part of a performance as well? Was the self-defense or premeditated? Bear in mind, when Doug first met Ashley, she was doing PR, marketing for the Trump campaign, right? According to one article, her job was to help galvanize the evangelical vote and work the rallies. According to one source, you can see video of her on the internet where she's throwing things into the crowd, getting people really excited. And according to Ashley's journal, she even traveled on Trump's plane, and Trump showered her with compliments. She even wrote that Trump had called her a bombshell, his little girl, and his baby. How much of this case is real and how much is performing? How much is marketing? How much is manipulation? To repeat, was the reconciliation just before Doug's death real, or was that part of a performance as well, a ruse? If the first, then Ashley is a beautiful and innocent white swan. If the latter, then the rumors and whispers are true, and she is a black swan. And the question then is, will the jury be fooled as well? What do you think? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.